Chosen one. If you've been quietly asking yourself why life feels harder for you than for others, why you see so much potential inside you, but your reality hasn't caught up yet, this message is speaking directly to that ache in your spirit. You've tried to stay faithful, you've tried to stay hopeful, yet there are nights when you wonder if you misheard God, or if your season was given to someone else. That tension you feel is not confusion, it's pressure before elevation. Chosen one. You are not watching this by accident. Heaven aligned this moment because God is developing something in you before He releases what you've been praying for. This is not delay, it is design. By the end of this video, you will understand why your life has unfolded the way it has, why your mind has been under quiet construction, and what you must do next to step into a higher level of clarity, value, and authority. Scripture reminds us in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 that the vision waits for its appointed time, and tonight understanding is meeting timing. Before we go any further, make a declaration. Subscribe to this channel and comment 727 as a sign that you recognize this moment as divine alignment. Promise yourself you will watch this to the end, because Chosen One God has not forgotten you, and what He is building in your mind is about to change everything. Chosen One. There is a reason your emotions feel so easily stirred, a reason one small moment can shift your entire inner world. One word can lift you, another can drain you, and sometimes you don't even understand why it happens so fast. I remember seasons in my own life when a single phone call could change my whole night, when a careless remark stayed with me for hours, when I felt as if my peace was fragile and constantly under attack. Back then, I thought it meant I was weak. I thought it meant something was wrong with me. But I learned something sacred through time pain and quiet encounters with God. Sensitivity is not a flaw when you are chosen. It is a sign that your spirit is open, receptive, and deeply impressionable. And that is exactly why God is so serious about teaching you this lesson now. You were never meant to live at the mercy of every voice, every mood, every external signal. Heaven is teaching you how to guard what enters your mind, because your mind is the doorway to your future. Anointed One, you must understand this with clarity tonight. Nothing that touches your awareness is neutral. Every conversation, every sound, every image, every repeated thought is either feeding life into you or slowly draining it out. I learned this the hard way. There was a time when I worked hard, prayed hard, and still felt stuck, and it wasn't because God was silent. It was because my environment was loud. My mind was being shaped by whatever crossed my path, and I didn't realize how much power I had given away. The moment God opened my eyes to this truth, everything shifted. I saw that heaven was not waiting for me to strive harder, but to choose more carefully. Scripture says we are transformed by the renewing of the mind, and that renewal does not happen in one dramatic moment. It happens through accumulation, through small daily deposits that quietly add up until one day you wake up and realize you are no longer the same person. Chosen One. This is where the billionaire lesson begins, and it has very little to do with money at first. It has everything to do with accumulation. Wealthy minds understand something most people overlook. What you repeatedly consume becomes who you are. I have watched this principle work in ordinary life. I have seen people who changed nothing outwardly, but changed what they allowed into their minds, and within a few years their entire direction shifted. One idea received at the right time can unlock doors you never even knew existed. I remember hearing a single insight once, something simple, something almost easy to dismiss, and yet it connected with everything I had been working on. That one thought redirected years of effort into a clear path. It did not arrive with noise or force. It arrived quietly because my mind had finally been prepared to receive it. That is how God often moves with the chosen. He prepares the ground long before he releases the harvest. Anointed One, God is not asking you to overhaul your life overnight. He is inviting you into a new mental diet, one that honors the law of accumulation he placed into creation. Just as your body reflects what you eat over time, your life reflects what your mind consumes over time. There were seasons when I could not see immediate results from changing my inputs, and that tested my faith. But God taught me patience through this process. He showed me that growth often begins invisibly. When you start feeding your mind with truth, wisdom, and vision, nothing dramatic may happen at first, but something holy is happening beneath the surface. Layers are forming, capacity is expanding, strength is being built, and one day what has been accumulating in secret will show itself openly. Chosen One, let me ground this in something real and human. There was a man I once knew who worked tirelessly and earned just enough to survive. He was not lazy, he was not foolish, but his mind had never been trained to think beyond his immediate environment. When he finally committed to feeding his mind daily with ideas that stretched him, challenged him, and lifted his perspective, his entire trajectory changed. Conversations shifted, opportunities found him, confidence rose. Within a few years, his income multiplied, not because money chased him, but because his value increased. He could walk into rooms and contribute meaningfully. He could see patterns others missed. This is what God does when he teaches you this lesson. He increases your capacity before he increases your reward. Anointed One, do not underestimate the power of consistent learning. When you read, reflect, and revisit ideas that sharpen your thinking, you are not just gaining information, you are shaping identity. Every time you return to truth, you reinforce who you are becoming. I learned long ago that reading without reflection is shallow, but reading with intention imprints deeply. When you mark what speaks to you, when you pause and ask how it applies to your life, you are allowing wisdom to settle into your spirit. Over time, this practice builds authority. People begin to sense that you carry depth. They trust your perspective. They seek your counsel. This is not pride. It is stewardship of what God has placed inside you. Chosen One. The question is never how old you will be in a few years. Time will pass regardless. The real question heaven is asking you tonight is this: who will you be when it does? Will you still be reacting to life, or will you be leading it? God is not in a hurry, but he is intentional. He knows that when he elevates you, the weight will be heavy. Influence requires stability. Prosperity requires discipline. Vision requires clarity. That is why he starts with your mind. Step by step, thought by thought, chapter by chapter, he is building you into someone who can carry what is coming. Anointed One. This is why God is serious about teaching you this billionaire lesson now. Not because he wants you obsessed with wealth, but because he wants you prepared for increase. The ladder you are climbing is not rushed. You ascend one rung at a time, and each rung strengthens you. With every idea you receive, with every habit you refine, you are becoming a different person. And when the time comes for elevation, it will not overwhelm you. You will recognize it. You will be ready. And you will know deep in your spirit that this season of preparation was never punishment. It was proof that heaven trusted you enough to build you slowly and well. Chosen One. There comes a moment when God begins to shift not just what you think, but where you place yourself. This is a quieter lesson, and many miss it because they are looking for fireworks. But heaven often moves through positioning before manifestation. I learned this in seasons when nothing outward changed, yet everything inward was being rearranged. God started to show me that growth accelerates when you stop trying to do everything alone. There are seasons when isolation protects you, but there are seasons when alignment multiplies you. And when God is serious about your elevation, He becomes very intentional about the people you allow close to your spirit. Anointed One, you are far more influenced by your environment than you may realize. Not just your physical space, but the voices you hear, the conversations you entertain, the attitudes you tolerate. I once spent time around people who were not evil, not malicious, but constantly limited in how they saw life. Their language was small, their expectations were cautious. Without realizing it, I began shrinking my own vision just to stay comfortable. It wasn't until I stepped into rooms where people spoke possibility naturally that I felt something wake up inside me again. This is not coincidence. God uses proximity as a tool. When you surround yourself with people who stretch you, your mind begins to stretch without force. You start thinking differently because a different standard is now normal to you. Chosen One. This is why heaven cares so deeply about your reference points. You will always rise or fall to the level of what you believe is normal. If struggle is normal around you, you will tolerate it longer than you should. If growth is normal around you, stagnation will begin to feel uncomfortable. I have watched people transform simply by changing who they regularly engaged with. Their work ethic sharpened, their confidence stabilized, their choices matured, not because they were pressured, but because their environment invited them to become more. This is the unseen power behind the billionaire lesson. Wealthy minds understand that alignment accelerates progress. They do not wait to be inspired. They place themselves where inspiration is unavoidable. Anointed One. There is also a reason God often introduces you to wisdom through voices you have never met personally. Books, teachings, conversations you overhear at the right time, these are not random. I cannot count how many times an idea found me exactly when I needed it, long before I even knew how much I would need it. Sometimes it came through an audio playing quietly while I drove. Sometimes it came through a sentence I almost skipped over. But each time it was as if heaven whispered, "Pay attention to this." Over time I realized that God was training me to recognize insight when it appeared. He was sharpening my discernment, teaching me how to pause, reflect, and let truth settle before moving on. This habit alone saved me years of trial and error. Chosen One, do not rush past ideas that stir something deep within you. When something resonates, linger. Turn it over in your mind. Ask why it speaks to you. Wisdom often arrives in seed form, and seeds need time to take root. I have seen lives change not because of constant activity, but because of thoughtful repetition. When you return to an idea, you deepen your understanding. When you apply it gently over time, it begins to shape you. This is how God builds authority in His chosen. Authority is not loud. It is formed through quiet consistency. And when the time comes for your voice to carry weight, it will be because your mind has been trained to hold it. Anointed One. This is also why God invites you to learn continuously. Growth is not something you graduate from. There was a time when I thought learning was something you did until you felt confident enough. Then God humbled me by showing me how much more there was to understand. The moment I embraced being a student again, life opened in unexpected ways. Opportunities came because I could see what others overlooked. People listened because I could articulate ideas clearly. This is not about intellect alone, it is about humility. Scripture reminds us that God gives grace to the humble, and learning is an act of humility. When you stay teachable, you remain expandable. Chosen One. Some people resist this process because they believe time is against them. They say it will take years, as if years are something to fear. But time is neutral. It will pass whether you grow or not. The question heaven places before you is not how long it takes, but who you become while it takes place. I have met people who aged without maturing and others who matured without aging. The difference was intention. Those who grew chose to invest in their minds daily, even when it felt slow. And one day the compound effect revealed itself. Their clarity increased. Their confidence stabilized. Their value became undeniable. Anointed One, I want you to feel peace as you hear this. You are not behind. You are being built. The steps may feel small, but they are deliberate. One insight at a time, one habit at a time, God is shaping you into someone who can sustain what is coming. This is why He is careful with your environment, your influences, and your inputs. Elevation without preparation is dangerous, and heaven protects you too much to rush you there. When your season arrives, you will not need to scramble. You will recognize it. You will step into it with steadiness, not fear. Chosen One. This lesson is not about striving. It is about alignment. It is about choosing environments that nourish you, voices that sharpen you, and rhythms that restore you. As you allow God to guide these choices, something subtle but powerful begins to happen. Your thinking clears, your decisions simplify, your confidence grows quiet and strong. And one day, you will look back and realize that this was the season when everything changed, not because of a single dramatic event, but because you learned how to place yourself where heaven could work on you without resistance. Chosen One. There is a deeper layer to what God has been teaching you, and it begins in the quiet hours when no one else is watching. This is the place where destiny is either nurtured or neglected. I learned this not in public victories but in private nights when my mind would not rest. There were seasons when I went to bed carrying questions, fears, unfinished thoughts, and I wondered why my progress felt slow. Over time, God showed me that the moments just before sleep are sacred gates. Your conscious mind loosens its grip, and your deeper self becomes receptive. What you place there does not simply pass through you, it settles into you. Anointed One. This is why God has been drawing your attention to what you think about at night. Many people pray before sleep, but then allow worry, regret, or distraction to dominate their final thoughts. I did this for years without realizing the cost. I would ask God for clarity, then replay the same anxieties as I drifted off. Eventually, I noticed a pattern. My mornings reflected my nights. When I slept with heaviness, I woke with heaviness. When I slept with hope, I woke with direction. Scripture speaks of God giving His beloved rest, but rest is not only physical, it is mental alignment. When your last thoughts are aligned with faith, your spirit continues working even while your body rests. Chosen One. I want you to hear this gently. God does some of His most important work in you when you are not actively trying. When you quiet your mind and place vision before Him, your subconscious begins to cooperate with heaven. I remember writing down simple intentions before bed, not demands, not frantic prayers, but clear direction. Over time, I noticed that ideas would come to me in the morning without strain. Solutions appeared where I had been stuck. It felt less like effort and more like guidance. This is not mysticism, it is design. God created your mind to process deeply when it is still. When you learn to honor that, your life begins to move with less resistance. Anointed One. The morning carries a similar power. The first hour after you wake is a threshold. I used to rush through it immediately, consuming noise, news, and other people's emergencies. Without realizing it, I was letting the world define my direction before God had a chance to speak. When I finally slowed down even slightly, everything changed. reading something that lifted my thinking, reflecting on where I wanted my day to go, inviting God into my thoughts before anything else. These small acts recalibrated me. I became less reactive. I made clearer decisions. The chaos around me lost its grip because my inner world had been set first. Chosen one. This is not about perfection or rigid routines. It is about intention. God is not impressed by discipline without relationship. He is drawn to willingness. When you choose to feed your mind with truth early in the day, you are telling heaven, I am open to be led. Over time, this posture reshapes you. I noticed that even when challenges came, they no longer shook me the same way. My reactions softened. My confidence steadied. This is what happens when your inner environment is tended before your outer demands begin. Anointed one. There is also a healing that takes place when you release old labels. Many people carry names that no longer belong to them. Words spoken years ago still echo in their thinking. I carried some of those myself, labels of inadequacy, inconsistency, limitation. God showed me that if I kept agreeing with those names, I was unknowingly programming my future to resemble my past. The moment I learned to gently interrupt those thoughts, everything shifted. Instead of condemning myself, I reframed my identity. I stopped saying who I had been and started affirming who I was becoming. This was not denial, it was alignment. Chosen one. When a mistake happens, heaven does not label you. Heaven teaches you. I learned to respond differently to failure, not with shame, but with adjustment. Each time I said, next time I will do it this way, I was training my mind to move forward instead of spiral backward. This practice changed my relationship with growth. I stopped fearing mistakes and started extracting wisdom from them. Over time, my confidence grew, not because I was flawless, but because I was resilient. God values resilience deeply because it allows you to keep moving without losing yourself. Anointed one another, sacred acceleration occurs when you begin sharing what you are learning. This surprised me. I thought teaching was for experts, not for those still growing. But God showed me that articulation deepens understanding. When you speak truth to someone else, it roots itself more firmly in you. I began to notice that the things I explained to others became clearer in my own life. This was not about authority over people, it was about stewardship of insight. When you honor what God gives you by passing it on, He entrusts you with more. Chosen one expectation also plays a powerful role in this process. There was a time when I approached life braced for disappointment. I called it realism, but it was actually fear wearing a reasonable face. God gently corrected me. He showed me that expectation is not arrogance, it is agreement. When you expect things to work out, you align with heaven's perspective. This does not mean you avoid challenges. It means you interpret them differently. You stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start asking, what is this preparing me for? That shift alone can transform how quickly you move forward. Anointed one. I have learned that some people seem lucky not because life favors them, but because they are internally aligned for favor. They expect good, so they recognize it when it appears. They remain calm so they can respond wisely. This is not magic. It is mindset shaped by repetition and trust. When you consistently affirm that things will work out, your mind begins looking for solutions instead of obstacles. Over time, those solutions become visible. What once felt rare becomes familiar. Chosen one. This is the heart of the billionaire lesson God is teaching you. Wealth, influence, and impact are not sustained by bursts of effort. They are sustained by stable inner alignment. God is building that stability in you now. He is teaching you how to govern your thoughts, how to choose your inputs, how to release old identities, and how to expect good without striving. This is sacred work. It happens quietly, patiently, and deliberately. Anointed One, I want you to feel peace as you sit with this. You do not need to force anything. You are not late. You are not lacking. You are in formation. As you continue allowing God to shape your inner world, the outer world will eventually respond. It always does. And when it does, you will not be overwhelmed by what arrives, because you will have already become the person who can carry it with grace, clarity, and strength. Chosen One. There is a moment when God begins to change the way you interpret resistance. This is subtle, but it is one of the most important shifts you will ever experience. For a long time, I believed resistance meant I was off course. I thought opposition was a sign to stop, slow down, or retreat. But heaven corrected that assumption gently. God showed me that resistance often appears not because you are wrong, but because you are approaching a threshold. What you are facing now is not a wall meant to block you. It is a weight meant to strengthen you. Anointed One, understand this clearly. Every level of increase comes with a corresponding demand on your inner world. God does not release expansion into a mind that cannot interpret pressure correctly. If pressure still convinces you that you are failing, then elevation would crush you. So heaven trains you first. I remember seasons when everything felt harder at once: relationships, finances, clarity, motivation. I kept asking God why things felt so heavy. His answer was simple and unsettling: because you are getting stronger. That season taught me more about capacity than any success ever did. Chosen One. The way you think about problems determines whether they become prisons or passageways. I have learned that problems are not interruptions to the plan. They are often the plan itself. God wraps growth inside difficulty because growth cannot be transferred any other way. When you face something that stretches you beyond what you are comfortable with, heaven is inviting you to become more than you were. This is why two people can face the same challenge and have completely different outcomes. One grows bitter, the other grows wiser. The difference is not circumstance, it is interpretation. Anointed One. I want to speak to the disappointment you have carried quietly. The moments when you expected things to work out and they did not. The times when you did everything you knew to do, yet the outcome still hurt. Those moments can either close your heart or deepen it. I have walked through both paths. There were times when I withdrew, guarded myself, and lowered my expectations. It felt safer, but it also shrank my world. God eventually showed me that protection without trust becomes isolation. Healing required me to reinterpret my experiences, not erase them. Chosen One. When heaven allows a setback, it is never without intention. I learned this slowly. Looking back, I can see that the very obstacles I resented were the ones that forced me to prepare properly. They slowed me down long enough to refine my thinking, strengthen my discipline, and deepen my discernment. Without those delays, I would have stepped into opportunities unprepared. And unprepared entry often leads to painful exits. God is too kind to allow that for His chosen. So He trains you through resistance first. Anointed One. This is where mindset and faith meet. Faith is not pretending everything is easy. Faith is trusting that nothing is wasted. When you adopt this perspective, frustration loses its power over you. You stop asking why something happened and start asking how it can serve your growth. This shift does not happen overnight. It happens through repetition. Each time you choose to extract wisdom instead of resentment, you strengthen a new mental pathway. Over time, that pathway becomes your default response. Chosen one expectation also plays a role here. Many people unknowingly expect things to go wrong. They call it being cautious, but it is actually conditioning. I lived that way for a while, bracing myself for disappointment. God showed me that expecting difficulty does not make you wiser, it makes you tense. When I began practicing confident expectation, quietly trusting that things would work out, I noticed something change. I became calmer under pressure. I listened better. I responded instead of reacting, and solutions began appearing where panic once lived. Anointed one. This is not optimism for its own sake. This is alignment with how heaven sees your life. God does not see chaos where you see chaos. He sees formation. He sees layers being added. He sees strength developing in places you did not even know were weak. When you align your expectation with His perspective, your nervous system settles. Your thinking clears. You move forward with steadiness instead of urgency. This steadiness is essential for the kind of wealth and influence God entrusts to His chosen one. I also want to address the idea of identity under pressure. Pressure reveals who you believe you are. When life squeezes you, what comes out is not accidental. I learned that moments of stress exposed outdated identities I was still carrying. I would react in ways that did not reflect who I was becoming. God did not condemn me for this. He invited me to update my self-concept. Each time I chose to respond as the person I was becoming rather than the person I had been, something shifted. Identity is reinforced through action, especially under stress. Anointed one. This is why God allows you to face challenges before promotion. He is giving you opportunities to practice being the future version of yourself now. Each calm response, each wise decision, each moment of restraint is rehearsal for what is coming. You are not being tested to see if you will fail. You are being trained to see if you are ready. This training happens quietly, often without applause, but it is deeply effective. Chosen one. The billionaire lesson. God is teaching you here is this: stability creates sustainability. Wealth without stability magnifies insecurity. Influence without stability amplifies ego. God builds stability in you first, so that what He adds later will not destroy you. This stability comes from learning how to process resistance without losing peace. When you master this, your life begins to feel different. Challenges no longer derail you, they refine you. Anointed one. I want you to feel reassurance in this moment. The pressure you feel is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is forming. You are not being pushed out, you are being pulled forward. As you continue to allow God to shape your interpretation of difficulty, you will notice a quiet confidence growing within you. That confidence does not shout, it rests. And from that place of rest, you will be able to carry what God places in your hands without fear, without haste, and without losing yourself in the process. Chosen one, there comes a sacred point in this journey where God invites you to release control without releasing intention. This is one of the hardest lessons I had to learn, because I was taught, like many, that success comes from pushing harder, trying longer, forcing outcomes. Yet every season where I pushed without peace left me drained, confused, and misaligned. God eventually showed me something that changed everything. Surrender is not passivity. Surrender is alignment. When you surrender the need to control outcomes, you create space for heaven to move with precision. Anointed one, the mind. God is developing in you now is not anxious, frantic, or desperate. It is steady. It is observant. It is patient. Wealth, influence, and authority respond to this kind of inner posture. I have watched people miss opportunities not because they lacked talent, but because they were internally rushed. They spoke too soon, moved too fast, trusted too loosely. God is protecting you from that. By slowing you down internally, He is sharpening your discernment. You are learning not just when to act, but when to wait, and that timing makes all the difference. Chosen one. There is a deep connection between surrender and clarity. When I stopped demanding immediate answers, clarity began arriving naturally. Ideas surfaced without strain. Decisions felt simpler. This did not mean challenges disappeared. It meant I was no longer fighting myself while facing them. God taught me that a calm mind hears more clearly. When your inner world is quiet, guidance becomes obvious. This is why heaven often removes noise before releasing direction. Silence is not emptiness, it is preparation. Anointed one. This lesson also reshapes how you see wealth. Many think wealth is about accumulation alone, but God reveals it first as stewardship of attention, energy, and thought. When you learn to steward your mind well, money follows naturally because value flows from clarity. I noticed that as my thinking matured, my choices became cleaner. I wasted less time. I invested more wisely. I said no without guilt and yes without fear. These shifts did not come from ambition. They came from alignment. God was teaching me to value what He values. Chosen one's surrender also heals comparison. There was a time when watching others succeed stirred impatience in me. I wondered why their progress seemed faster, their path smoother. God gently corrected me by reminding me that comparison distorts calling. Your path is not delayed, it is customized. What others can carry now might crush you if released too early. When I truly accepted this, peace replaced envy. I could celebrate others without questioning my own journey. That peace restored my focus and protected my joy. Anointed one, another mark of the high-value mindset God is forming in you is restraint. Restraint is often misunderstood as weakness, but in heaven it is strength under control. I learned that not every thought needs to be spoken, not every emotion needs to be expressed, not every opportunity needs to be seized. Discernment taught me to pause and ask, is this aligned? That pause saved me from unnecessary battles and misaligned commitments. Over time, restraint became a source of power. People trusted me more. Opportunities refined themselves. Life simplified. Chosen one. God also begins to teach you how to recognize true opportunity. Not everything that looks promising is assigned to you. I once chased doors that opened easily but led nowhere meaningful. It wasn't until I learned to wait for peace, not excitement, that my decisions began bearing lasting fruit. Peace is not absence of fear, it is presence of alignment. When something is from God, it carries a quiet confidence, even if it stretches you. That confidence steadies you through uncertainty. Anointed one. The billionaire lesson here is subtle but profound. Long-term increase requires short-term patience. Compounding works in silence. Just as investments grow unseen before they show results, your inner work is accumulating right now. Each day you choose clarity over chaos, alignment over urgency, surrender over control. You are compounding strength. This is why God is patient with you. He understands the power of time combined with intention. Chosen one. Let me ground this in lived experience. There were seasons when nothing outward validated my inner growth. No applause, no sudden breakthroughs, just consistency. It was tempting to doubt whether anything was happening. But looking back now, those were the seasons that built my foundation. When opportunities eventually arrived, I could handle them without losing balance. I did not panic. I did not overextend. I moved with confidence because my mind had already been trained for stability. Anointed One, God is inviting you into that same stability. Not the kind that resists change, but the kind that adapts without losing itself. This stability becomes your anchor as life expands. When finances grow, you remain grounded. When influence increases, you stay humble. When pressure rises, you remain clear. This is the kind of person heaven entrusts with more. Chosen one. I want you to hear this with your spirit, not just your mind. You are not missing out. You are being matured. What God is doing in you now will protect you later. The habits you are forming, the discernment you are learning, the peace you are cultivating, these are not small things. They are the infrastructure of a life that can sustain abundance. Anointed One, as this lesson settles in, you allow yourself to rest in the process. You do not need to force the future. You do not need to prove your worth. You are already seen, already guided, already supported. Continue to choose alignment daily. Continue to steward your mind with care. Continue to surrender outcomes while honoring intention. Chosen one. This is how heaven builds those it trusts with increase, quietly, patiently, thoroughly. And when the moment arrives for elevation, it will feel less like a surprise and more like a recognition, because deep within you will know that you have already become the person who can carry what is being placed into your hands. Chosen one, as this moment comes to rest, let this truth settle gently into your spirit. What God has been forming in you is not temporary, and it is not fragile. A high-value mindset is a sacred vessel, and heaven does not pour abundance into a vessel that has not been prepared to hold it. Tonight, your thinking has been aligned, your inner world has been strengthened, and because of that, a supernatural transfer is already in motion. Anointed One, this is your Kairos moment. Not because everything changes at once, but because something irreversible has begun within you. From this place forward, you will recognize prosperity before it appears. You will walk with clarity, even when circumstances are still forming. What God establishes on the inside will no longer be shaken by what happens on the outside. The seeds placed in you tonight will grow quietly, faithfully, and at the appointed time they will manifest with precision. Remain aligned. Stay grateful. Guard your mind as sacred ground. Expect good without striving, and trust that what has been prepared for you will not pass you by. If this word resonates with your spirit, let it be sealed. Subscribe and write 777 in the comments as a sign of agreement. Chosen one, walk forward in peace. Heaven is with you, and what is coming will meet you ready.